David Coburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the appalling UK withdrawal agreement, which the European Union has presented to the British Parliament, which is quite frankly an insult to a nation which liberated Europe and has democratically decided to leave the EU, well, leaving that aside, this withdrawal states that the EIB bankers, European investment bankers, working in London after Brexit will have immunity from British law. How can this prevent money laundering? Furthermore, the UK must agree to not prosecute EU employees who are or who might be deemed in the future to be criminals. That's Article 101. How, in the name of God, can that help with money laundering? Furthermore, the UK must promise never to tax former EU officials based in the UK on their EU pensions, or tax any current ones on their salaries. The EU and its employees are immune to UK tax laws. That's Article 104. I'm sure Mr. Mandelson and Mr. Kinnock will be delighted with that. But how, in the name of God, can you say that this helps with anti-money laundering? This establishment seems to be, I don't know what the collective of hypocrisy is, but let's say a mountebank of hypocrisy, or certainly a mountain of hypocrisy. I would like to hear the official view of how any of these things can possibly help with money laundering. It defies logic as far as I'm concerned.
Does anyone want to comment? Mr. Merlin?
Frankly, I am not entitled to comment on the withdrawal agreement which has been agreed upon.
We don't have to comment on that. All you have to do is to say, do you think such articles which do exist in this agreement, are they something that you would consider a good idea to prevent money laundering?
I think the withdrawal agreement goes far beyond the discussion that we are supposed to have today here, and I am not entitled to comment on these matters.
Surely you can comment on whether or not agreements of this sort, of any sort, for any country, would indeed be something that would enhance the money laundering that you're supposed to be stopping. Surely you can give a professional view on that. You don't have to comment on the actual deal. We're just asking you to talk about the actual pieces of legislation that are in there.
Yeah, I think that the representatives of the Commission expressed themselves, and there will be.
And the other gentleman, would you like to comment?
There will be a lot of discussion about.
Will the other gentleman like to comment, or are you trying to close it down, Mr. Chairman?
Would you like to comment,
Mr.
Farkas?
No, I don't think we are entitled to comment. We have not been.
Well, you're not commenting on the actual deal. Yeah. You're just commenting on whether giving immunity to officials in this way is something that you would think is good for money laundering. I mean, you've given views on every other thing in the world, every other country in the world, every tax haven. Surely you can give a view on this one.
We're getting out of the scope.
We're closing it down. We don't like free speech in Europe, do we now, sir?
Yeah.
That's why we're leaving.
Yeah, but you cannot expect to answer on a question which is outside the scope which our guests deal with.
Well, I don't think it is outside the scope, money laundering.
Please, then.
My concerns are actually how can we prevent that the UK out of the EU will turn into a huge tax haven, worse than it is already. But my question is to the representatives of the